Want to know why? Ask how. Howard the Humongous. Will the coronavirus wipe out our presidential election? Will it wound and possibly kill our democracy? That's a question we will soon have to face. With the coronavirus eradicating our normal public and work life, the race between Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders for the Democratic presidential nomination has come to a halt. Biden's tidal wave of support has lost any form of public expression. In fact, it has become irrelevant. Instead, the coronavirus has given Donald Trump free press worth roughly $10 billion. Trump's forte is running a reality show. In the first 3 years of his presidency, he has used that skill to produce billions of dollars worth of free media attention for himself. No news day is complete without a Trump tweet that makes the headlines, and those headlines are free media time worth a fortune. But now Trump has something new: 2 hours of free media time every single day, a frequency and length of time he has never had before. In fact, a frequency and length of media time no president has ever had before. That free media time comes in the form of Trump's daily press conferences with his coronavirus task force. The Apprentice, Trump's reality show, only lasted an hour or two once a week. Trump's new reality show is daily. Salvation will come only if these daily press briefings make it obvious to the public that Donald Trump is a con man and a liar. That may seem obvious to the watchers of CNN and MSNBC, but it is not obvious to the watchers of Fox TV. On Fox, the Democrats' efforts to give you and me enough money to see us through the coronavirus catastrophe is being pitched as an insidious government takeover of the economy. It's being pitched as an extremist Democrat socialist scheme. On Fox TV, Trump's lies do not exist. How can Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden compete with this? They can't. Their free media time has shrunk to a crumb per day. They have become invisible men. And the coronavirus apocalypse has brought 2 new leaders to the fore of the Democratic Party. Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York State, a man who has done everything Donald Trump has not, from listening to science, planning in advance, and watching out for the interests of the people he serves, to taking into account not just the logistics of building temporary hospitals in Central Park and in Manhattan's Javits Convention Center, but recognizing his constituents' feelings and feeding their emotional needs. Then there's Michigan's Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who has also been a voice of reason and compassion. What magic ingredient do Whitmer and Cuomo have that Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders do not? Free media time. Lots of it. Thanks to their battle against the biggest headline maker of the day, the coronavirus. And yet even the media time of Cuomo and Whitmer is a pittance compared to that of our president, Donald J. Trump. Here's where the danger to our democracy comes in. Coverage of the coronavirus has eliminated coverage of the primaries, and the coronavirus has wiped out the primaries themselves. 16 states have postponed their primaries: Alaska, Connecticut, Delaware, Georgia, Hawaii, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Puerto Rico, Rhode Island, West Virginia, and Wyoming. One state, Wisconsin, has opted to have a primary on Tuesday, April 7th, unless the governor and state legislature can stop it. If that primary happens, it will be in spite of the fact that under the rules of social distancing, a primary is impossible. No one in his or her right mind is going to stand in a long line and take a chance on catching the coronavirus by entering a crowded room to cast a vote. This problem may force us to do something productive, to get used to voting by mail or even voting online. But the president is loudly and rigidly opposed to making voting easier. If more people can vote, he says, Republicans will never win an election again. In other words, the Founding Fathers were forced to rig the system in favor of small states in order to get the small states to sign on their brand new Constitution. And that rigging makes it possible for Republicans to win the White House, even if they are in the minority, even if they lose by 3 million votes, as Donald Trump lost to Hillary Clinton. We covered this rigging in a previous Howard the Humongous episode. Meanwhile, there were budgets to make voting easier in the recent $2 trillion coronavirus congressional package. But Trump said to Fox and Friends, quote, the things they had in there were crazy. They had things, levels of voting, that if you'd ever agreed to it, you'd never have a Republican elected in this country again. What has the coronavirus catastrophe done to the Democratic candidate's ability to campaign against Donald Trump? It has wiped that possibility out. In other words, when the election takes place in November of 2020, Donald Trump could very easily win by default. Does winning by default mean we have a real electoral democracy? No, not at all. Not in the coronavirus time warp. Winning because your opposition is reduced to invisibility is a small step toward the opposite of democracy. It is a small step to being ruled the way Russia is ruled, by a president for life, a Vladimir Putin, a man who uses crippled and rigged elections to claim legitimacy, a man who uses those elections to claim he is a leader because he is adored and supported by the people in the streets, a man who uses those elections to create the illusion that he serves because the people demand it. This is the sort of one-man, anti-democratic dictatorial rule that Donald Trump has always dreamed of. Now the coronavirus might just give it to him. This is Howard Bloom, speaking to you from the future. It's your job and my job to make. Or, want to know why? Ask how. And now for that sleazy, slimy, slippery, sneezy little off button. I think I've found it.